Oh, I guess I can. Oh,
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This is the Elder. This is another episode of How to Why Do. Of course, I just introduced the Elder, and we got with me my co-host. What's your name, girl?
hey, this is Sinestra G on the What
Introduce
MC.
the
Once
Elder, and we
again,
got with me.
for another week, number 6 for us. So I'm excited
Yes,
about that.
yes, number six, number six. Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Nice day outside. We get to record again. Yeah,
Yeah,
get the fingers right. Get the
I
fingers
know I
right.
was trying to move where my camera was. I wasn't sure, but number 6. I guess I could.
Today's episode is a little solemn.
Mm-hmm.
We really wanted to deal with some difficult, a more difficult subject, with everything that's going on in the world. Just recently, in the last couple of weeks, with the hate crimes that occurred up in Buffalo with the shooting in the top supermarket, the
Mm-hmm.
hate crimes that occurred out in California with the Asian population, also with the massacre that just occurred a couple of days ago out in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Uvalad, if I pronounced that right. So we want one to deal with coping, and how to cope and how we cope. Why do we have to cope? And I do want to preface this before we get started and really get into it. But neither one of us are professional counselors.
Not at all.
Um, not at all. We're not psychiatrists. We're none of that. But we just want to kind of go through some of our own personal experiences in dealing with coping. Um, some insight on how you cope, why you have to deal with coping, some best practices, if you will, because we definitely know that during hard times that we all deal with and all go through, we have to continue to try to strive to keep going and press forward. So that's what our topic's going to be. Definitely, I hope y'all all tune in. If y'all got questions or comments, definitely we look forward to hearing from y'all. But how to cope and why do we have to cope? Um, of course, if we look at coping, it's just dealing with a situation or a circumstance that you may deal with. And really, honestly, that can be looked at good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always, I know a lot of times when we think of coping, we think of tragic situations that we may face. But really, coping is just dealing with a situation,
Right.
whatever that may be. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you actually have a choice of how you actually handle that situation. And it's the same as we look at, when we talk about the definition of consequence. Consequence is not a negative or positive thing. It's just dealing with the outcome
Mm-hmm.
of what you put forth, the effects of an outcome. So
Right.
when we're dealing with coping, I myself, if we're looking at it personally, I lost my father kind of suddenly after surgery about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so dealing with that, having to cope with that, took some time. And I'm not talking about a couple days. I'm not talking about a couple weeks. I'm not even talking about a couple months. Part of me is even still now dealing with or trying to cope with, the losing my father. And even more so, um, the closer that person is to you,
Yeah.
the closer that situation is to you, can make it difficult, real difficult, real strenuous, um, on how you actually cope. Miss G, what you got on it?
Well, I can most definitely, sorry guys, I'm tagging and sharing. But I can most definitely relate to losing a child. I lost my daughter. She was 28 days old. And I can tell you, I really feel for the parents that were out there. I really do understand
Mm,
that, even the shock of it all,
yeah,
to know that the responsibility in the morning was to feed, make sure you had your book bag, all of those good things, and to send you off to school. We
right.
truly love our children,
Mm,
and we want what's best for them. And I know with the situation that was down in Texas, um, man,
hard.
that really hit me hard. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, it doesn't, when you lose a child, It's not something that just goes away.
Right.
It really doesn't. When I think about looking in her face,
Mhm.
or any of those things, and then now she's not here. Now today she would be 24.
Wow.
But there is no days that go by that I don't think I had four children. God gave me the ability to have four.
Right.
And even though one is not with us, my son remembers her.
Mhm.
He's 25, but my son remembers her. So I really feel for the parents that are out there. And there's no real words that we can say to help
Right.
you not hurt anymore.
Right.
It's just a process that you're going to have to go through one day at a time. Take it
Yeah.
one step at a time. And every day, I know to say, because this was said to me, like you said, like he said earlier, these are our experiences. So
Right.
like you say, you don't want to say things like these are things not to say. I'm going to tell you in advance, because it makes you angry. Okay,
Right.
when somebody says to you, God has a plan, believe me,
Yeah.
that's not the right thing to say.
Yeah.
And even though you mean well and we understand,
That
that's
can
not the
hurt.
right thing to say.
Right. That can
um
hurt.
yeah, and then if you say something like uh God doesn't make mistakes, that's another thing you don't say. And the reason why you don't say these things is, as a parent, and everybody said all of these things to me, God has a purpose, all of these things, it hurt so bad. And I stopped believing, period. Stopped
Mhm.
believing for at least 5 or 6 years, because my thought process was, why would this be a plan?
Right.
Why would this be necessary?
Mm.
you know she didn't do anything to anybody.
Right.
And we think those things with our children, even with our sorry about that, even with our elders. That's another thing. That was grandma hurt nobody.
Right.
Grandma, and
Good
in
person.
Buffalo
Yeah.
there was an elder who was a great and wonderful person.
Right.
And through all of that, you had just the thought of everybody that they were just talking about. It's like, man, these people were wonderful folks. For somebody to want to harm them,
Right.
you just
The
can't imagine.
idea of it. Yeah.
And you having to run for your life. So we are at the point now to where trying to show you how to cope with it would be more like, take a second and think about the good things that they did, the
Mhm.
ones that have passed. Think about how much you love them and how wonderful they were.
Yeah.
And bond with someone. Do not try to do this by yourself, because this is going to be a process. Make sure that you have a wingman or somebody that is with you that can go through this process with you, because going through it alone is not going to be healthy for you or anybody around you. You're
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah. You're
angry.
right.
You're going to be really angry. And when somebody says something to you, you're not going to want to hear it. Not at all. You're not going to want to hear it. But
And that is true.
know that it's coming from their heart, that they just want to be there for you. And sometimes they're just not going to know what to say. So, for
Right.
all of those who are out there that are the person on the other foot, I think I said that right, the shoe on the other foot. So, for somebody that's the person on the other foot, your job is to sit and listen. Let
Yeah.
them get everything they want to say out. I'm just trying to tell you, there's nothing that we're not trying to reenact anything for you
Right.
to make it be even worse. But be the person that has a great ear to hear
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
listen to their thoughts, because that's what's important. My breakdown, I was trying to be strong for everybody else,
Right.
but the moment I had to say goodbye was the hardest.
Yeah.
And I was trying my best, and I did it the unhealthy way, being strong, being tough.
Trying to hold it in. Yeah.
Cried to myself. There's something you said before about tears. Tears mean you're pushing yourself through the process, or something. There was something you
Mhm.
said, and it was a couple weeks ago, and I remembered it, but tears just mean that you're trying to get through it.
Right.
So just take a moment and really open your eyes to, okay, today's a new day. I have to now step in this one more time, another day, another
Yep.
process. I miss my babies, I miss my grandma, I miss my aunt, my uncles,
Right.
all of those who were in the situation.
Yeah.
However, I got to take this one step at a time.
And that's probably the best advice I've ever received and I could ever even give, is the time factor.
Mhm.
Um, I remember, and funny enough, I had a conversation with my father uh, the day before he passed. And as we were talking, we would just kind of go, and I can go into a whole lot of details about who he was and what he meant and all that. But I
Right.
remember really having a conversation with him and him just talking about some of the things that he had been through just growing up.
Mhm.
And as I look back on it, I could understand why we were having that conversation. But he was just letting me know that, we all go through, we all have issues, we all have problems, we all have our trials, our shortcomings. But what he was iterating was the time factor. He's like, but you get through it. He's like, and it may not be instantaneously. It may take some time. It's going to hurt. He's like, it's
Yeah.
going to hurt. Just accept that. Just kind of let that, don't try to hold it in, even what you were saying. He's like, just accept it, and just take it one step, one day, one moment, at a time, not trying to take it all. And like I said, just looking back, it's interesting. I kind of getting welled up even thinking about it. Um, having that conversation a day before he passed.
Mhm.
But that time factor, um, it just makes it doesn't take it away. It just allows you to deal with it a little better the next day and a
Mhm.
little better the next day. And then also just having the thoughts of what they actually meant to you.
Yeah.
And I know we can go into the Freudian and all the philosophers and the seven periods of grief and denying that. I mean, they got the whole list of studies and stuff that you look through.
Mhm.
When it's dealing with losses and grief. But that time factor and just really reflecting on who they were and what they meant to you,
Right.
and just taking it the day, another time, just taking your time. And it's all right to cry.
Right.
That's all right. It's all right to weep. It's all right to be sad. It's all right to be hurt. These things are okay. If I was looking at the Bible, there was a point where scripture lets us know, the smallest scripture in the Bible, that Jesus wept.
Mhm.
And the reason he wept, because he lost a friend of his. So
Right.
we know that it's okay to be in pain. Sometimes, depending on who you're doing it to, it's all right to lash out. And if you're that person that's trying to exude comfort, let them do that. Let them be in pain. Let them, be hurt. Let them cry. And as you were saying earlier, be that shoulder. You don't. There's really no words that you could ever say. If especially if we're dealing with the loss, um, a tragic incident, of high magnitude. There's really no words you can say, no flowers you can give,
Nope.
that's going to make it just go away. But a long embrace, a shoulder to cry on, a listening ear, and not being judgmental,
Mhm.
not talking about how I would fix things or how I would do things, but just listening, and let them just get out, what's going on. Because again, things have happened, in the last couple of weeks, has been horrific, horrendous. When we thinking about the elderly and we think about kids and really thinking about anybody that dies in such a horrendous way, there is a lot of grief. And so you have families, parents,
Mhm.
grandparents, siblings, that have to live on,
Right.
and have to find a way to live on. And as cruel as that may sound, you have to live on. So it's a matter of finding a way to move forward, to press forward, So I think it's very important when we're dealing with coping, that we all don't, honestly, we all don't cope the same. We really don't. Me and my brother, my dad, it's me, my brother, and my sister. You know, at my dad's funeral, I was hurt. I was crying out, me and my sister, but my brother he just held it. My brother just held it. But
Deals with
it was years later we were talking, just reminiscing about, talking about my dad and some things, and he broke down. That was his breaking point, and I'm kind of looking at him like, okay, like it's, hey, let it
Mhm.
out. So we all deal with things so differently, so differently.
I can tell you, Elder, it's like we just lost a family member, and sometimes as family, we don't know how to address the
Hmm.
spouse. You know, that's hard because especially if you're not close to your family members, this is the time that it's like you don't know what to say. Except for I'm thinking about you right now. But like you said, it's like flowers. Thank you for the thought, but um flowers for me when I was going through it, I didn't need them. I didn't need them.
Right.
Thank you, but don't waste your money on flowers. Right now, I just need you to be there for me as
Yeah.
well as you can.
Yeah.
Just sit there. I don't even need you to say anything. Just sit there so that I know that you cared enough to show up.
Right.
Um, and that was my thing. Throughout the years, throughout COVID, man, I've
Hmm.
lost so many during COVID.
Yeah.
So many friends. I've lost friends to suicide. I've lost friends to, I mean, you name it. There was one of my friends that called me in the midst of her doing what she was doing, left behind like 8 children. Um, and I got so angry about that, and I'm thinking
Mm.
life is so short. Like we need our moms, we need our dads. Like I don't
Right.
understand. But we don't know what people go through. We don't know,
Right.
there's so many things because like today we're talking about coping. So how do you cope with someone that loses their life because they created that process? Someone that goes early, as we say, too early, too
Right.
young, too early. um Someone that isn't necessarily sick, but they just go,
Yeah.
and it's like we don't know our time. Even
Mm.
you and I, we don't know our time, we don't know our space, we don't know when God is going to call us home. um but it's just hard. So I can say how to cope. There's no real answer.
Right.
And
No right way. We'll say no
right, no,
right
no
way
right
to
way,
cope.
no right
Right.
way.
No right way. One
Because
right way.
everybody has their own way. But why do we cope? I mean, it's a process for us to go through, and
Right. And
that's
to move
my
forward. Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on that.
Mm.
But I'm praying
And,
for everybody out there, though.
yeah. And one key thing that I will throw out here,
Hmm.
that I believe does help everybody that's going through a grief or a coping.
Right.
A lot of times, in our culture, I'll say, we have the repast, we have the showing, we have the funeral, you know, church sings, pastor preaches. I mean, all that's good. You get the hugs, you get the flowers, all
Routine.
that as well. Yeah.
It's
But
a routine.
the hardest part for anyone that has to deal with something like that is the day after, the week after.
Yep.
When everybody gets on the plane and they fly back home, they get in their car, they drive back home, they go back to their house, they go
Hmm.
back to their job, they go back to their family, and then you're just in the house alone, with that other person, that other child, whatever the case may be, that's not there, and you're just left to your own thoughts,
Right.
and you're left just by yourself. That's the point in time, when they need you the most. And it's not a bombardment. It may be just, hey, I was just thinking about you. You all
Yeah.
right? You doing good? Is there anything I can do? Because I hate to say it, it's easy when you're in the funeral and everybody's in the going and the pushing. Oh, that's what we supposed to do. We family. That's what we supposed to do. But
Yeah.
when the lights turn off and it's dark and it's quiet and you just have your thoughts, that's when you need someone that's able to talk. You're able to talk to someone you can share with, and sometimes just get on the phone and just start crying.
Mhm.
So for any of us that have somebody or know somebody that's going through, that hard time, um, it's the quiet moments we need to really pay attention to,
Yeah.
and really need to adhere to and reach out. There's nothing wrong with reaching out, and don't the old adage, don't put off tomorrow what you can. If the thought, I really believe, if the thought comes through your head about somebody, I believe God put it there. Call them, send the text.
Mm.
Hey, look, we got Messenger. We got so many
Everything.
avenues: Snapchat,
Everything.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So many ways to reach out, and just hey, how you doing? Not don't give me the WID. What you doing? No, give me a how are you doing? Look, I was
Right.
thinking about you. You good? And you may not get a response, but you better believe it was read. And it's like,
Right.
thanks.
Right.
And they may not respond, but that's okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay too. But let's just make sure that we're checking in, that we're
Always.
reaching out. Whatever. Don't be scared to say I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you mean a lot to me. You mean, I'm glad you're in my life. It,
Right.
it's okay.
You know
It's
what? The
okay.
only thing I'm going to ask everybody not to do. You already know.
Yeah, I
One thing
know.
I'm going to ask everybody not to do.
Hmm.
Never go to a person that is hurting and say, if you need anything,
Just call me.
just call me. I'm always available.
Call me.
I'm always available. I got your back.
Uh, and then when they
All of
call
those
you,
things are so nice
crickets,
to hear. They call
crickets,
you, you call, you call
crickets,
them and they can't answer the phone. They don't
crickets.
call text. They don't send you smoke signals. You don't
Mm,
hear from them for years. And they say, girl, I meant to call you the other day.
they be
No,
like,
you know, you
mm,
just called me just now. Now you just thought about that. What am I gonna say to her?
right,
'Cause I forgot all about her.
right.
I literally can tell you, I don't know how many times people said that to me, and I sat there at that funeral like,
Yeah, okay.
who are you again?
Right.
Who
Yeah.
whose cousin?
Still ain't heard from them. Still ain't heard from them.
No, not at
Still ain't
all.
heard from them.
No. But
Yeah, I
seriously,
agree.
all everyone really needs is you to say to them, hey, I'm praying for you.
Mhm.
I know this is not easy. Take it one step at a time.
And mean it. At,
Yes. That's
at
it.
least for
And that's
me,
all
at least
it
for
takes.
me, if you don't mean it or you're not gonna do it, don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather you not even say anything to me.
Right.
Just hug me and just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. And let
And
somebody say
remember,
that.
oh my goodness, remember when you are at a funeral, you are not the only one hurting. So that
Yes,
mama, that daddy, that sister, that
yes,
brother that's sitting in the front row trying to keep it here
yeah,
because they already full up, you are that
yeah,
cousin or that
yeah.
relative or that
Don't.
friend that is screaming to the top of your lungs, and you forget that they have everybody else sitting over here that
Right.
has to be in the same house, in the same bed, in the
Mm,
same area that that person has been in for the longest. We
yeah.
understand everybody has friends and stuff like that, and it's hard for them to deal with too. But my suggestion on that is friends and family that aren't living in the same household as that person that passed away, get together and deal with it, talk about it before you enter any funeral service, because it's harder on the people,
Right.
on the people that sit there and literally say, I have to go home without my son, I have to
Yeah.
go home without my daughter, I have to go home. So you screaming doesn't help them, and
Right.
then you go over to them, oh no, that does not help them at all. In fact, that harms
I can't
them.
believe. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
harms them more than anything, you know. So I've seen that. I've been to a lot of funerals, and I have seen that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that poor
I
mama.
can't
She's
believe that.
already like, okay, I just got myself together. Then you have cousin
Yeah,
Lulu or whoever coming
coming
around. I didn't
through.
make you say that. Sorry, cousin Lulu, your name just popped in my head. But that person that comes around, you know what I'm saying? Cousin whoever. I got a
Yeah,
bunch of, no matter what name I say, it's gonna harm me. So if they come around, oh my gosh, and they falling all over you,
right.
and
Yeah,
you got to sit there because the hardest thing, they still haven't reached the hardest part. If it's an open casket, they still
yeah,
haven't reached the hardest part.
yeah.
So by you
And
doing
walking up there,
that,
yeah.
help them. So
And I'm
friends,
like you, the hardest part.
mm,
There's so many. There's so many. And we can go through the list
yeah,
of it. The hardest, and I don't want to talk, go into detail because they're,
right.
like I
I know
said, for
what you
each
mean.
person, you know what
It's
I'm
different.
talking about. There's so many things you think about. But again, for those that have to cope or dealing with someone that you're
Mm,
helping comfort,
right.
remember it's not, if you're the comforter, it's not about you. It's about them. It's not about your feelings. It's about them.
Oh
So
my
you
goodness.
should be, the scripture talks about, the strong should bear the infirmities of the weak. So there's points and times where it may not be hurting you, but you see that it's hurting them.
Yeah.
Comfort them, be there for them.
Don't make it
Show
about. Don't
yourself.
make it
Yeah.
about you.
Do not make it about, well, girl, if it was me, boy, if it was I. It's not
All that's
about you.
gonna happen is after everything is done and over with, you're gonna be the talk of the town. I can't believe they went up there
And
acting.
did so, yeah, acting, yeah,
Auntie was up there trying to hold herself together. You
trying to
know,
jump in the casket, trying to
I,
all this stuff.
it
Yeah.
it's already hard. And I know before COVID, well, during COVID, it was even harder because they had the mesh and you couldn't.
And that was horrible.
Couldn't,
I had someone, a couple of people that passed away during that, and the idea of not being able to see the body, to
clear.
not be able to, yeah, walk up to,
It almost looks like
being
a
at a funeral where everyone was 6 feet apart, like hard, hard
yeah.
times. And we've all dealt with, even over my short period of life, I can remember so many. Whether we're talking about 9/11, the
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma bombings, all the school shootings that have occurred over my
Yeah.
short, 40 years, even personal, losing friends in car accidents,
Mm-hmm.
shootings, gang shootings, all that. We've all lost. We've all experienced
To
loss.
different things. To
Um,
different. To
and
different
yep, to different
relationships.
things and different people. And again, we're not saying that when we're talking about coping, it could be a lot. You could be coping because you have an illness. You're sick. You lost your job. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you lost your house. You lost a car. Like we could still be coping with things, where it's
Just
not a
a
person.
loss. It's a
Yeah, it's just a
loss.
loss,
Hoping
just a
it's a
loss.
loss.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, family members want to, tell you to buck up and go get another job, but a loss is a loss.
Not
You
that
could
easy.
lose in a marriage, a divorce. That's a loss. So even still, all this applies that, it's not about you. You're trying to help them cope, trying to comfort them, and
Mm-hmm.
try to deal with them. Um, so that's all I have with coping. You got anything else, Miss G?
I have nothing. That's all I have. We are praying for everyone out there,
Yes,
and that is
yes,
honest. We're not just saying it. We are praying for you.
yes,
And there are
yes.
different um organizations out there. If you need assistance with anything, they're out there.
Hmm.
Um and a lot of people are putting them out on the platforms and all of those things. I know a lot of churches are doing prayers. And I know sometimes you don't want to hear that, but
Right.
that's how we cope in
Yeah.
order to help. So, um, and we try to be the faith base for you while you're going through the process. So,
Right.
please
Amen.
don't take offense to it. It's not that we're trying to do anything off of you to get fame or fortune. That's not how it
Right.
works.
We're
I
just
mean,
trying
that's
to
us,
help.
not us anyway. But I'm just saying. But
Right. Right.
this is just an overall. We knew this was a topic that was kind of heavy right now,
Hmm.
and we are in the season of a lot of events going on, a lot of alcohol, a lot of different party favors.
Mm,
So we just want everybody to be careful out there, be very
right.
aware and alert of your surroundings,
Right.
and just be careful. Okay,
Yeah.
so Sinestra G from Facebook, Sinestra Grinkly Whiting, has
Yeah.
nothing else more to say. Just make sure that you follow us
Yes.
on.
Yes. I like how
Um,
you snuck that in there. That was good. That was
I
good.
was trying to figure out how to break that down.
Yeah, that was
So
good. That was good.
make sure that you follow us on YouTube under the Elder and the Truth, and
Yes.
subscribe because we like to make sure that you get all of the notifications, as well as, Elder has like a laundry list of different ways you can follow him. Um, so be my guest. He really talks about array of things and gives a great word. So make sure that you listen to it, and you might want to just pick one of his topics, while you're out there because you're going through something. Pick one of his
Right.
topics that really fits your bill for that day, and you will be blessed. So that's
And
all I have.
look, since she's talking, don't you have a radio station out that you promote? Aren't we working on
You
one?
know what? I have a new one, and we have
Oh,
one coming up. Yeah, the Elder and the Truth and Snatch Street have a broadcast
see,
coming up, y'all.
there you
Ooh.
go. Yeah.
So look out for that coming up soon. It's time to grow,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Look
It's
look
time
for
to
that
grow.
coming soon. And yes, I have Inspiration Connection Radio, where I am the host, Nestor G, every Sunday morning at 9:15 to 10 a.m., where I am
Yep.
locked and loaded and ready to give you the best
Toot that
gospel music
horn.
and inspirational
Toot that
words.
horn.
Dr. Davina Smith, who is one of my favorite doctors out there. But yes, that is my radio station every Sunday morning. And you will find us on WRAR 104,
Mm-hmm.
105.4.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Richmond area, Tappahannock area, Warsaw, all those areas.
Come on.
However, we're also worldwide. So you can find us
And there's some good
on,
stuff. She plays some new school and some old school for them
yes,
old
I mix it
Mississippi
all in
head
there.
choir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We mix it all in there to make sure we have a little bit
Uh,
for
but yeah, you can find all these episodes on our YouTube channel, The Elder and the Truth. If you're looking on Facebook, she gave you her handle, mine, Sylvester Harvey, on Facebook. And we're trying to bring some other stuff, some new stuff to you. She got a radio station. We got some other programs coming in the works.
everyone.
So we're glad that you've tuned in. We're glad that you're watching. Make sure you like, comment, and even subscribe. And we do appreciate that you're enjoying that content. Again, for those that are dealing with tragic incidences and may know somebody, whether out in California, Milwaukee, New York, or Texas, we definitely are praying, and make sure we reach out and help those that we do see that are in need, regardless if they've lost somebody or lost a job or whatever the loss may be. You see somebody hurting, try to help, try to be that comfort, because that's what we're supposed to do. So Nesri,
Absolutely.
you're my girl. See, you see how I did that? You my girl. You mean a
I
lot to
like
me.
that.
You my girl. You like that?
That's,
See,
yeah,
sometimes
we
you gotta
gotta
put
come
your
up.
money where your mouth is.
Gotta come up with some type of something at the end.
Yeah,
We're getting it. Like we're working
yeah,
on
we
this
get.
whole. Yeah, we know rappers, but we're getting it.
Uh,
Like
oh,
end up with
there you
something
go. There you
like
go. But this is
Elder and
this is our
this way.
yeah. There you
Elder
go.
and the
That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. See,
truth.
and then I do that. See, you got
Elder,
yeah.
there you go. There you
There
go.
you
Okay,
go,
so I
Miss G.
so
All right, all right. We out
amen.
of here, y'all. Y'all be
All right,
blessed and y'all have a wonderful week. Peace.
all right. Talk to you soon.